Hi, welcome back to Counterculture Woodshop. I forgot my other camera, so today I'm just going to do a quick skateboard for a friend. He lost his 5-foot longboard, so I'm just going to quickly bang him up a new one. So today we're going to make the basically the blank, and these are just the offcuts from the powder boards I'm making. And then tomorrow when I get my camera back, I'm going to get back to shaping the powder boards. So that is the game plan. So I'm just going to cut these down a bit. I'm going to thin them out, probably to I'm going to cut them to like an inch thick and then run them through my planer down to probably 3/4. Actually, I might even cut them at 3/4 and then whittle them down to 5/8. So it'll be a good thick board so it won't snap on them. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, we're just going to see how we want to put this together. Part of me is thinking just like this. The other part of me might cut these and add some more strips to each side of this, but I will decide that in a moment. First things first is going to be cutting the thickness down. So we'll start by doing that, and I'll pick my best sides, and away we go. Alright, I've got the blank cut. I haven't got it glued together yet, but this is the pattern I've decided to go with. So it's just going to have a nice detail in the center. And I'm not too worried about where my biscuit layout is much, because this is just going to be like a bull nose and maybe a swallowtail. So I'll just leave the biscuits up like 6 inches or so from the back, and it'll be just fine. So next stage, biscuit join this together. There we go. Alright, I got the biscuits all figured out, so they're basically staggered because of the 2 little lines. So hopefully it won't cause any problems with the trucks. I don't think it will, but I don't really do any longboarding, so I don't really know. But we'll find out. I'm sure Buddy will tell me one way or the other. So let's get down to the gluing. So we're going to glue this all together and then let it set up overnight. And then tomorrow morning, I'll finalize my shape. And we'll lay out the trucks and everything, and I'm going to drill the truck holes and everything in while it's still a rectangle, because it's a lot easier to find all my center points and exactly how far I want to go. And then I'll design everything around the truck placement. So there we go. Alright, good morning all. It's about 9:30ish and the glue's still just a little bit damp, but I'm gonna give it like an hour. So I'm gonna make myself a nice cup of tea. And we're going to get, I'm gonna start figuring out the shape of it. So I'm thinking, there we go. I'm going to probably actually maybe do a pintail, because I always kind of default to swallowtail when I'm making boards. It's just a preference. So I think I'm gonna mix it up and we're gonna make a little pintail. It might be a stub pintail or I might make it more pointy. I'm kind of leaning against making it too pointy because these things become missiles basically when they let go and go whipping down the road. So I kind of want to blunt it off a little bit. So yeah, there we go. That is the plan. So I'm going to start just getting some cardboard or some screws to sort of figure how I'm going to draw this thing onto the board. Like what's the easiest, quickest way to do it. And at the same time, I'll probably end up just spinning the planer around, getting it ready to go out so I can start planing it out the door and stuff like that. So I'll get myself prepped and I should be back here in an hour, hour and a half, and we'll start actually working today. So there we go. All right, I've quickly cleaned up. I found the router bit I want the round over. I normally would use this little guy for just one, but I can't find my 1/4 inch round over. So I'm going to end up using, I got one built into the table right over here. So I'm just going to use the big guy and round it over. So we're going to declamp this guy right now. And then I'll start running it through the planer and then we'll figure out a shape, cut her out, or figure out the shape, lay in the trucks, drill the trucks out, cut it out, and then run it through the router and give it its little soften its edges, and away we go. And then sand her out and stand it. So there we are. Not too many more steps at all. All right, let's get on with it. Alrighty, I ran it through the planer. I did actually end up cutting this thing 1 inch thick. I changed my mind and now it's I've milled it down to like 3/4. And the only other thing now is we have this chunk. It's kind of missing here because, like I said, this was made out of scraps, and it was a little bit of an afterthought. But what I'm going to do, and there's like kind of a little hole here, is I have this resin. Not much of it left, but enough to do like a couple little pours. So I'm going to pour in, I think I got some gold pigment, so I'll pour in a little gold for the corners. But first I'm going to shape it and figure out exactly, like, well, not shape it, but figure out where the trucks are going, and then figure out what shape I'm going to be and see how much of this is still actually going to be in the board itself. So, and once it's routed and everything, well, I need to, but by looking at it quickly, I gotta think it's gonna have to have some. So I might, once I get the shape and figure out where the trucks go and drill them out, I might just end up taping that and pouring it, letting it dry, and then cutting it out after that's all set. So I might even have some 5-minute epoxy around here, which I could do the same thing. Coloring it, I haven't tried that before, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. So if I have some 5-minute epoxy, I can continue on once I get this all figured out and actually cut it out today. If not, we'll have to cut it out tomorrow. It's really not a big deal. There's not a panic. So we will get to the next stage, which is fitting the trucks on here, and I will start fiddle farting with how I actually want this thing to look. So I'm going to get to that, so enjoy. All right there, all I was doing was centering all these holes, so when I drill through, I know where they're going. If I was gonna make a bunch of these, which I'm actually kind of considering doing, so if you guys would like some skateboards, let me know. I'd make a jig so I could set my punch in it and just click it to the side, and they would always be in this exact same spot. It would just click on, bang, 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 and you can just mark it. Then you can mark it at will, right? You wouldn't have to spend so much time screwing around. You get the first one set perfectly, make sure it's tracking correctly, and then bang them in. So, I mean, it's not rocket science, it's just fairly time consuming. So there you go, a little tip. That does make. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm yelling a little bit because I still don't have my other camera. Wife's not back, so hopefully you can hear this. I'm going to just set up. I'd probably just actually use my square, my drywall square. You shouldn't actually do this. It's not good for the square, but I'll probably do it anyway and just sort of get a curve going on this guy and see what I can do with it. So I just got to find something. Hopefully I can find something else that I can just bend a little bit and make the curve. So I'm going to go check in my basement and hopefully I've hidden something down there. So I will be right back. All right, I dug something up, so we're going to start drawing in the shape. I'm going to move the camera up so you can get a slightly better angle on this thing. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right, on with it. So I have decided we're probably going to make this thing about 12 inches long. So I have 1 3/4 over, so I'm 13 3/4. So I'm probably just going to take off 5/8 on each side to keep it even, including the blade width. So I'm going to be pretty precise here. And then it'll give me a little wiggle room for shaping and stuff. So I might even take a little less. I'm just going to probably take 5/8 off each side. So that is the plan. So I'm going to set the table saw up. We're going to quickly rip it through, and then I'm going to get back into shaping it. So there we go. So I've got to make like a round nose. I can't find my compass, so I'm going to use this piece of wood. And all I'm going to do is measure down like 6 1/8. Put a screw in there, center it, and then I can just right off the center here, I can just make the radius and voila. And then on the back, I'll probably make one slightly smaller, same thing, and then we'll just radius it out. So there we go, a little trick. I'm going to drill out the holes for the trucks. I've got the bit in there that'll fit that screw, and then I've got this step down afterwards, and I'll just drop that in. Right now, because I've marked on this side, I'm just going to drill them through, and then I'm going to figure out which is my top. And right now I'm just clamping it. Like I said, if I was doing a bunch of these, I would actually have set a table, made a proper table that would have ended at the end of this board and had a series of stops in it. So I would just go click, snap, and it would just lock in place for each one. So each hole I'd just go 1 and then move it again 2, and I wouldn't have to constantly be setting it up. Right now I'm just using these clamps, and then I'm just setting, making sure I'm in where I want to be, which now I got to go back in that way just a little bit. So I'll just start tapping it around, and then I'll drill this one. So this is going to take a little while just because like I say, I don't have a jig set up, but like I say, if people want these, let me know, and I will start making jigs, and I will make a couple more. All right, on to drilling. I pretty much got the rough shape all figured out. So as you can see, it's pretty freaking huge. So yeah, I got basically sanded. It's all the edges are rounded off. It's all been rough sanded. I put some little scoops for the tires to go up and into it. So I might make them a little deeper, but I think I'm going to call it a night. And then tomorrow I'm going to, take that off. We're gonna get the resin ready and we'll fill this little guy in. So I might even come back a little in like an hour to take a break, and then I might just tape this up and resin that one up. So all right, so until tomorrow, have a good one. All right, just got back from picking up some 5-minute epoxy. I tried the other epoxy the other night and I did film it, but the epoxy, the hardener is shot. It just doesn't set. I still have, there it is. This has twice as much hardener as it's supposed to have in it. And this is from last night, so it's still liquid. So it's that stuff I'm just throwing away. So lesson learned. So I had to clean that up this morning, but it's no big deal. And so we're gonna try this guy. This will be fine. This should be set up in like, it says 5 minutes, so I'll give it like half an hour. I'm gonna basically mix this up right now, go have dinner, then come back and sand this out. So there we go. So I'm just gonna set the camera up above me. We'll just kind of, I'm debating if I'm gonna put it on time lapse or just film it, but I'll sort that out in the next 5 minutes or so. So there we go. Let's get on to putting the resin in this thing. right, it's been like probably 15 minutes. This stuff's pretty rock hard. It's soft still, but it's almost there. So I'm going to make myself, tonight it'll be a nice hot cup of Ovaltine. And we'll wait for this to dry a little bit more. I'm gonna pull the tape off and make sure there's no pinholes or anything in it. And I will go from there. So, all right, let's see how this looks. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Oh, yeah. That looks awesome. We can probably even start to sand it. So I'm going to see how this turns out. So let's get on to sanding. All right, it's about, I think, 8 o'clock, something like that. And I've just finished sanding this out. So I'm going to get a coat of stain on it. And then tomorrow when I get back home, I'm going to start putting a coat of finish on it. It's just to protect it a bit. And after that, we'll give it a wax coat. And then we'll go from there. So it should come up real good. So I am actually pretty excited to get this thing stained up and see how she's gonna look. I made a couple blocks so I can put it underneath, like so, where the truck sit, so I can do both sides. And it'll put a little mark like in the center of the truck there, which you'll never see. So it won't be that big of a deal, and I can always buff that out a little bit. So let's get to staining. This has got the finish on it. It's just going to dry overnight. And this actually turned out fucking awesome. I have to say, I'm really proud of this one piece. This is, I mean, it was about 2.5 days of work, and these were literally just scraps. I was debating just chopping them up and throwing them in my fireplace. So I think I made the right choice. So there we are. All right, well, I'm going to finish this drink, and then I'm going to go to have a shower and go to bed. All right, see you guys all tomorrow. All right, good morning all. So right now, I've got about half an hour before I got to take off, so I'm just going to put on the first coat. I'm going to dry throughout the day, and then we'll come back and I'll put on a second coat. I'm also going to pick up some hardware today. I think I have put in the car already, so that is good. So yeah, I'm going to pick up some hardware so we can get the trucks and stuff situated on and get a good look at it. So that is the plan. So let's get to it. Alrighty. I realized the first one didn't actually film when I put the finish on, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just like putting the stain on. But between coats, all you really want to do is take a bit of sandpaper and give everything just a little tooth, like so, just a light kiss, and then you reapply the stain or reapply the finish, and you just build up a couple coats. I'm basically going to put probably 3 to 4 coats on this. So this is the second coat. So we're just going to time lapse these and make all 3 one scene, and voila, there we go. All right, she's pretty much done. I just was in a bit of a rush, I think, when I was shaping it. And it's a lesson to slow down a little bit. Slowing down is sometimes faster. But this here needs to be shaped a little bit more to this side, and then the tail right here, same thing. I just need to take a little off of it. So I'm just gonna sand these 2 points out. I'm gonna trace the nose here, and then just transfer that piece of paper to this side, and I'll figure out, there we go, farther back. Like this, I'll trace this side, and then I'll just tape that on top of here, give me a line, and then I'll just sand it out real quick, and then just quickly restain it. Same with the tail. I'll trace that, and just put a piece of paper there. And then sand it out, and then put a stain, and she's all done. So, there we go. All right, and that's pretty much that. So I've got the ends shaped properly again, and that's just a lesson to not get too excited and try to skip a step. Really sort of focus when you're shaping these things on where you're at, make sure you haven't missed anything, but like it's not that big of a deal to go back and catch it and then just give it a quick little shape, right? If I do make more of these though, like I say, I'll probably make an actual template of this, and then I'd probably get a shaper blade for the router, and then everything would be always the same, right? It would be super consistent. Every board would look the same. So, but there we go. So until next time, have a good one.